Hello everyone, a very good afternoon to all of you. This is Ashwin Ramani, your research analyst at SBI Securities. I hope I'm audible and I hope you all are able to see my screen. If you all can give me a heads up in the chat box. अगर मेरी आवाज सुनाई दे रही है, स्क्रीन दिखाई दे रहा है तो आप मुझे एक बार चैट बॉक्स में कमेंट करके बता सकते हो, so that I know you all are with me live in the session. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes. मैं देख रहा हूँ कि लोग यहाँ पे ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं. We just wait for a minute or so and then we should be good to go with today's mid-market live. So I hope your weekend was good, clear voice. Okay, good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon, Harish ji, Sanjeev ji, Chandrasekhar ji, Suresh ji. Great, superb. Yeah, global markets are indeed positive. Okay. So let us start off with the mid-market session today. तो सबसे पहले शुरुआत करते हैं ग्लोबल मार्केट अपडेट से. सो अगर हम यूएस मार्केट्स की बात करें, so US markets had a great session on Friday. Dow Jones almost closed around 1200 points higher. That was roughly around 2.5%. S&P 500 almost closed around 2% higher. While the Nasdaq, which was under some pressure due to the fall in the tech stocks, that also recouped some of the losses in Friday's session, and Nasdaq was also up around 2%. So US markets again, काफी अच्छा दिन रहा उनके लिए. And also a lot of Indian goods have been subjected to no tariffs there. So in all, it's kind of positive for as far as the US markets are concerned. If you look at Dow futures is up 0.12%, so it's indicating a slightly flat to positive start to the US markets today. European markets की बात करें, so Germany almost 1% ऊपर close हुआ, लंदन 0.6% ऊपर क्लोज हुआ, फ्रांस भी 0.4% ऊपर क्लोज हुआ. यूरोस्टॉक्स इंडेक्स was up 0.15%. If you look at the Asian markets, even Asian markets are doing pretty well. Hang Seng is up nearly 2%. Nikkei is up nearly 4%. So Nikkei has been doing very well. Kospi is up 4%. So Kospi again continues to do well. China is up 1.36%, whereas Sensex is up 0.57%. Nifty is below the 25,850 mark currently. Again, we are up 142 points, which is up 0.55% higher. So we had the interim trade deal. There was a joint statement by both India and US. So I think there is some clarity on which goods are exempted, which goods will carry tariffs. Though there is still, I think, ambiguity relating to the purchase of Russian oil. There is no clear stance. I think in the order it was mentioned that if US finds out that we are buying Russian oil, then they would be quickly putting on that 25% tariff. So again, no confirmation yet from our side. So I think that remains a gray area for now. But nevertheless, I think the markets have kind of opened on a positive note today. But I think overall it's a clear directional move nahi hai. I think it was the deal was on expected lines. Though there are some areas where we still need more clarity, but I think barring that, I think nothing significant as far as the intraday move is concerned. If you look at the macro indicators, so dollar index यहाँ पे एक अच्छा pullback दिया था और फिर से almost 97.7 97.8 के आसपास एक रेजिस्टेंस लेके हुए फिर से डॉलर इंडेक्स हैज काइंड ऑफ मूव डाउन हियर. सो द ओवरऑल ट्रेंड फॉर डॉलर इंडेक्स अभी भी नेगेटिव ही, और जब तक ये 98 के नीचे रहता है तब तक द ओवरऑल ट्रेंड फॉर डॉलर इंडेक्स विल कंटिन्यू टू रिमेन बेरिश. If you look at dollar by rupee, even dollar by rupee is kind of consolidating in a range. I think since hitting the high of 92.19, dollar has kind of weakened a bit. It's still at elevated levels, 90.44. Ideally, a fall towards 88, 87 levels, I think that would be a good sign for our markets. If you look at Indian government bonds, 10-year yields, I think that has spiked on Friday. It was up around 1.2%. That was also when RBI had announced their interest rate decision by keeping the rates unchanged. And it's gone to 6.75% again. I think there is one another reason, despite we doing, well on the fiscal prudence, despite the, inflation being checked with the trade deal announced now, what is slightly difficult to understand at this point as to why the Indian government bonds, yields are moving up. Because ideally it shouldn't be at 6.75 6.8%. Ideally they should be slightly lower. I think that is one, I think, a cause of concern which I think a lot of people are not talking about, because even I'm not yet to fully understand as to why Indian government bonds 10-year yields are up currently. Ideally this should be somewhere around your 6.6 6.5% mark. I think we are still at the elevated levels here as far as the 10-year yields are concerned. If you look at the Japanese 10-year yields, again it has kind of spiked up by 2.6%. So Japan, I think I think they have projected more rate hikes in the future. And I mean, they are fighting inflation for low inflation now, I think for quite some time. So again, there's a lot of stimulus measures that the new government is going to announce. So I think that would also keep the Japanese yields at the elevated levels here. So that yen carry trade probability, I think that still exists. And maybe if Japan market looks attractive, chances are that thoda flows can probably go out from Indian markets and move to Japan markets. If you look at the US 10-year bonds, even US 10-year bonds kind of saw a spike. It was up around 0.48. Today it is up around 0.67%. So ideally, I think till it stays below the 4.2% mark, I think nothing major to worry about. But I think any move above 4.3 towards 4.4 levels, that could probably also make US government bonds yields attractive there. If you look at crude oil, so crude oil, I think post the breakout, it has gone into a consolidation phase. So around $70 to $65, that's the range that crude oil has been trading in. I think any move above $70 that could lead to a fresh breakout in the crude oil prices. India VIX continues to be down, though India VIX is up 1.24%. I think post budget, the whole of last week, we saw VIX kind of cooling off, and the volatility has slightly remained subdued. I think post the gap up opening that we saw on Monday, और वहां से हमने थोड़ा विक्स वॉलेटिलिटी को कूल ऑफ होते हुए देखा है. Gold has seen some uptick, so some buying has come in at the lower levels in gold. So the low for gold was around $4,655 an ounce. It has kind of moved above the $5,000 an ounce mark. So again, some fresh buying interest has emerged in gold. I think any move above 5,070, 5,100, that could probably lead to an extension in the gold prices. सिल्वर में भी बढ़ोतरी हुई है. सिल्वर ने फ्राइडे को एक $64 एन आउंस का लो मारा था. वहीं से अभी हम लोग ऑलमोस्ट $81 एन आउंस तक पहुंच गए. So I think as long as it holds above the $70 an ounce mark, chances are that even silver can likely extend its pullback higher. So I think all in all, I feel it's only that the Indian government bonds 10-year yields, it's slightly at the elevated levels. I think if that is under control, probably that could be a good sign for our equity markets. If you look at the FII positioning, so on Friday, FIIs were net buyers in the cash market. They have bought around 1,951 crores in the cash market on Friday. But there is no material shift in the sentiment post the India-US deal, or even post the budget, or even after the RBI monetary policy meet. But we'll have to wait and see now that the joint statement has come on the India-US deal, whether This triggers any fresh buying by the FIIs, but again, there is no material change in the sentiment. The long short ratio still hovers around the 18 to 18.5% mark. No significant short covering seen, as far as index futures are concerned. Hopefully, there are some bouts of buying that we have seen in the last, 2 weeks. But ideally, this, buying figure should kind of improve a lot, and probably the intensity of selling should probably go down from now. I think that is something that, we'll be keenly tracking going forward. If we look at Nifty today, so Nifty was moving in a tight range since last 3 trading sessions. So today we had a gap up opening. One good positive is I think index trades above all the key moving averages. RSI is near about the 55 mark, so it's probably moving towards the 60 mark. DI plus is about DI minus. Well, MACD is still below the zero line, but it's kind of improving on the upside here. So ideally, this 50 EMA has kind of acted as a strong, support for the stock. And hopefully, I think Nifty should be able to sustain this gap from now. I think that is what we all want. If we purely see from an intraday perspective, अगर आप देखोगे वही हुआ था पिछले बजट डे, I think India US डील के बाद we opened with a gap up and then we went sideways. आज का भी मूवमेंट कुछ ऐसा ही है, हम गैप अप के साथ ओपन किए, बट इंट्राडे मूवमेंट हैज बीन एक्सट्रीमली lackluster, if I have to put it that way. So I feel purely from an intraday basis, 25,780, 25,800, that zone is likely to act as a strong support. I think जब तक हम 25,800 के ऊपर है, तब तक I feel थोड़ा सा पॉजिटिविटी रह सकता है. On the upside, I feel there is one major resistance, immediate resistance here. I would say this mark, which is around 25,870, 25,880, because there were multiple times today where I think this level of 25,865, 25,870 acted as a strong resistance for Nifty. So I think that 70 points range, that is 25,800 on the downside and 25,870 on the upside. Till the time Nifty stays within this range, it is likely to remain sideways. But अगर हम 25,870 की अगर हम ऊपर जाते हैं, अगर एक strong breakout candle मिलता है यहाँ पे, तो हो सकता है फिर से हम 25,900, 25,920 का लेवल हम टेस्ट करें. नीचे की तरफ I think if it breaks 25,800, then chances are that it can kind of fill the gap that is created today here. So again, bearish to sideways ही हम बोल सकते हैं, but maybe anything about 25,870 that could trigger some pullback towards late second half. But till the time it stays below 25,870, the overall trend is likely to remain choppy. If you look at Sensex की बात करें तो Sensex में भी similar चार्ट स्ट्रक्चर है. पिछले 3 दिन एक कंसोलिडेशन फेस में था, आज एक गैप अप के साथ. अगेन अगर आप इंट्राडे मूवमेंट देखोगे तो एकदम निफ्टी जैसे ही है. द इंट्राडे मूवमेंट हैज बीन लैकलस्टर. सो अगर हम सेंसेक्स की सपोर्ट की बात करें, सो अराउंड 83,880, 83,900, that is where a strong support is placed for Sensex. While on the upside, the resistance is around this mark. That is around 84,100. So till that, so 83,900 on the downside, 84,100 on the upside. So जैसे निफ्टी में 70 पॉइंट्स का रेंज था, वैसे ही सेंसेक्स में यहाँ पे ऑलमोस्ट 200 पॉइंट्स का रेंज है. अगर हम 83,900 के नीचे एक स्ट्रॉन्ग ब्रेकडाउन कैंडल मिलता है तो हो सकता है ये गैप फिल हो जाए टुवर्ड्स 83,600 और शायद 250-300 पॉइंट अब नीचे की तरफ मूव हो सकते हैं. बट ऊपर की तरफ अगर हमें 84,100 के ऊपर एक स्ट्रॉन्ग ब्रेकआउट मिलता है, बिकॉज यहाँ पे काफी हेजिटेशन था अराउंड 84,100 लेवल्स. यहाँ पे सेलर्स का प्रेजेंस काफी स्ट्रॉन्ग था. बट अगर हम 84,100 के ऊपर ब्रेकआउट मिलता है तो हो सकता है हम डे हाई को टेस्ट करें टुवर्ड्स 84,300. तो ऊपर और शायद 200 पॉइंट का पुल बैक मिल सकता है. तो नीचे अगर हम 83,900 ब्रेक करते हैं तो 250-300 पॉइंट नीचे जा सकता है, और वही 84,100 ऊपर ब्रेक करते हैं तो अगेन वही 200-250 पॉइंट ऊपर की तरफ टुवर्ड्स डे हाई तक मूव हो सकता है. बट जब तक ये 200 पॉइंट के रेंज में है तब तक आई थिंक द ओवरऑल ट्रेंड इज लाइकली टू रिमेन साइडवेज इन सेंसेक्स एज वेल. now talking about बैंक निफ्टी भी कुछ खास ऐसे ही अगर आप देखोगे बैंक निफ्टी पूरा दिन साइडवेज ही रहा है यहाँ पे। आई थिंक हम बैंक निफ्टी की बात करें सो बैंक निफ्टी एक इम्पोर्टेंट सपोर्ट के आसपास ही ट्रेड कर रहा है विच इज अराउंड 6570 6550। आई थिंक 6550 एक स्ट्रॉन्ग सपोर्ट है बैंक निफ्टी के लिए। और अगर हम रेजिस्टेंस की बात करें सो अराउंड 6700 एक स्ट्रॉन्ग रेजिस्टेंस है बिकॉज आप देखोगे यहाँ पे एक हाई था 6729 का और 6712 सो 6700 has acted as a strong resistance for bank nifty on an intraday basis। और वही नीचे 6550 एक स्ट्रॉन्ग सपोर्ट है। बैंक निफ्टी इज नियर अबाउट द सपोर्ट हियर। अगर एक बड़ा सा रेड कैंडल आता है यहाँ पे अगर हमें ब्रेकडाउन मिलता है बिलो 6550 तो सबसे पहले तो हम डे लो को टेस्ट करेंगे टुवर्ड्स 6490 and if we go below that then हो सकता है again bank nifty can kind of fill the gap on the upside 6700 that is likely to act as a strong support। यहाँ पर भी आप देखोगे तो वही 150 पॉइंट का रेंज में ही है। अगर हमें 6700 के ऊपर ब्रेकआउट मिलता है देन चांसेस आर दैट ये पुल बैक एक्सटेंड हो सकता है ऑन दी हायर साइड and we can expect at least bank nifty to move towards 6850 6900 levels on the upside here। just a second, yeah, so that's the levels for bank nifty। now talking about the sectors to watch अगर हम पिछले 1 month की अगर हम बात करें so if we see which are the sectors that are relatively doing well that are showing strong momentum, so metal has again kind of has been seeing some strong buying interest again। so metal in the last 1 month has been up around 9%। CPSE is up around 6.5%। even CPSE since the budget has started to do well। PSU banks have again kind of gained traction। I think SBI came up with some really good numbers yesterday। they have also increased their guidance for the credit growth, so I think that has kind of had a rub-off effect on the overall PSU space today। oil and gas stocks, they are placed in the leading quadrant of the RRG, so even oil and gas, that sector is up around 5.5%। but couple of sectors that are not doing well relatively, one is IT we know last week with that AI news there was a fall in the IT index। IT index was down around 7%। realty stocks, though they are seeing some traction from the lows, still I think overall recovery, we can't call it as a trend reversal yet in the realty space। that is down around roughly 3.5%। even healthcare and pharma stocks are yet to see any traction। even pharma and healthcare are both are down in the range of 2.5 to 3% here। so I think IT looks weak, IT, realty, pharma, whereas metal, PSUs, CPSC, oil and gas, including your infra and manufacturing, even these are the sectors that are looking strong here। now, if you look at the RRG graph, if you talk about the 4 segments, so clearly you can see that Nifty Infra, that is in a rising mode. So clearly infra is one sector that you should be keeping in your radar। it has both strength and momentum। secondly, even oil and gas continues to do well। apart from that, even if you look at manufacturing is also in the leading quadrant। PSE is doing well, CPSE is kind of tilted down here। मेटल फिलहाल के लिए वीकनिंग क्वाड्रेंट में है बट आई एम थिंकिंग आज के सेशन के बाद थोड़ा सा इंप्रूवमेंट होना चाहिए। आई थिंक द हेड शुड काइंड ऑफ मूव अप। even PSU banks for that matter is in the weakening quadrant, but again post today's session this should kind of move up again। sector to avoid, like I said, IT फिलहाल के लिए avoid करना, it's in the lagging quadrant here। I think IT में अभी थोड़ा सा bearishness है। but realty has kind of improved, so momentum है, strength नहीं है। consumer durables has improved, momentum है, strength नहीं है। media has also improved, mid cap has kind of improved, small cap has improved। FMCG avoid करना, pharma avoid करना, IT भी avoid करना। these are the 3 sectors that you should stay away for now। so infrastructure, oil and gas, manufacturing, PSE, these are some of the sectors that look strong as far as the RRG is concerned। now talking about the, so हमने सेक्टर्स देख लिया। अभी इसके अलावा स्टॉक्स की भी हम बात करेंगे। तो सबसे पहले PSU बैंक, में आज एक स्ट्रॉन्ग रिकवरी नजर आई है. सो PSU बैंक हैज हिट अ फ्रेश हाई. एंड अगर हम रेशियो चार्ट देखें, सो PSU बैंक यहाँ पे एक ब्रीफ करेक्शन देखा था. फिर एक करेक्शन के बाद इट वेंट इनटू अ कंसोलिडेशन मोड, और वहां से PSU बैंक्स में आज रिकवरी नजर आई है. So couple of stocks from the PSU bank. So that is one is Indian Bank. So Indian Bank फिर से अपने एक resistance zone पे आ गया है, which is somewhere around 900 915. इसके पहले भी इंडियन बैंक यही लेवल से एक फॉल आया था. But again, Indian Bank has kind of recovered. So I think any move above 920 that can lead to Indian Bank moving higher with around 860 865 acting as a strong support for the stock. Apart from that, even Union Bank for that matter, that is almost trading near its resistance, that is around 183 184. वो एक स्ट्रॉन्ग रेजिस्टेंस लेवल है यूनियन बैंक के लिए. तो अगर यूनियन बैंक में एक 183 184 के ऊपर अगर एक स्ट्रॉन्ग ब्रेकआउट आता है, then chances are that even Union Bank can kind of move up and probably inch up higher. But it needs to hold above 173 175 on the downside here. जब तक ये 173 175 के ऊपर है, the overall trend again it's likely to remain positive for Union Bank. So these are the two stocks from the PSU space that looks good. One is Indian Bank and the other one is Union Bank. Apart from that, there is some traction that is building up in the capital market stocks as well. So अगर हम capital market by Nifty का ratio chart देखें, some select stocks from the capital market stocks are doing well. Like one of them is BSE. So if you look at BSE, so BSE gave a breakout, it gave a retest, and again there is a strong follow-through move that is seen in BSE. Or so previous 4 sessions, it was kind of consolidating in a tight range, and BSE has given a fresh breakout. So ideally, if this sustains, if BSE is able to, let's say sustain about 2925 2930, I think chances are that even BSE is likely to move up from the current levels here. Apart from that, manufacturing index, like I said, we've been discussing manufacturing sector since last 1 week now. So the ratio chart has, given a fresh breakout in manufacturing by Nifty. It gave a breakout retest, and again, there is a strong follow-through move that is seen in the manufacturing space. So keep an eye on manufacturing sector. I think a lot of good stocks are coming up in the manufacturing space. One is Tata Steel. So Tata Steel, again, that is part of the metal space as well. So अगर हम टाटा स्टील देखें तो मॉर्निंग के सेशन में काफी स्ट्रॉन्ग था. इट मेड अ हाई ऑफ अराउंड 206. Though it has given up some gains here, but I feel as long as Tata Steel is able to hold above 192 194, chances are that it is likely to do well. Apart from that, even Polycab. So Polycab was consolidating since the last 3 trading sessions. And, even Polycab has given a strong breakout. If you see, it was moving in a tight range here, though its resistance is somewhere around 7,930, 7,940, needs to move above that. But as long as it, let's say, holds above 7,630, 7,650, the overall trend for Polycab also looks very strong. Apart from that, even JSW Steel, for that matter, it's trading near its previous resistance. So the previous resistance is around 1,245. It failed to cross 1,245 a couple of times in the past, and today it broke out. It made a high of 1,255, but there is some selling pressure that the stock saw from the higher levels. So till the time it stays above 1,215, I feel the overall trend is likely to be positive for JSW Steel as well. And I think any strong follow through above 1,250, that can likely push the prices higher on the upside. Apart from that, LT Foods, if you look at LT Foods, it has given a downward sloping trend line breakout. It gave a breakout, it retested the earlier trend line, which acted as a resistance, has now acted as a strong support for LT Foods. And post taking support from this trend line, the price has given a strong follow through move. So as long as the price stays above 390 392, the overall trend, again, it's likely to remain positive for L&T Foods as well. And the last stock that I want to discuss is JK Tyre. So JK Tyre, again, we saw there was the stock was moving in a consolidation phase. It kind of gave a breakout, and breakout के बाद भी ये 3-4 दिन में फिर से consolidation में था. And today again there was a strong follow through move post the earnings here. So around it's at around 570, 575. So till the time JK Tire sustains above 555, I feel the overall trend again it's likely to remain positive. So these were the stocks. These are the sectors that looks good currently. Now talking about the concept of the day. So let me open up my paint. And okay. So what we learn in the concept of the day, if you remember, हमने बीच में एक fundamental का session किया था जहाँ पे I told you there are probably three things that matters as far as your ratio analysis is concerned in fundamentals. एक है आपका revenue growth. At least you should look at last 5 years data and see what is the top line growth for that company. One other thing is your profit growth. You should also look at whether company is a profit making company or a loss making company. Ideally, you should be looking at the profit trends as well. And the last thing that you need to see is cash flows, whether the company has positive cash flows. These should be your basic filters. At least उनका जो operating cash flows होता है वो ideally आपका positive होना चाहिए. So if you remember, these are the at least three things that we had discussed in one of the earlier concept sessions. Now, apart from that, what are the other three key metrics to track? Okay. One is the other thing, three things, the three most important things that you need to track is one is your EBITDA margin. So you hear this term a lot. So if you know what is EBITDA, अगर आपको याद है आपका जो revenue होता है उसमें से आपका जो खर्चा निकलता है basically your operating profit. So all your revenues, your sales minus your cost, whether your material cost, labor cost, employee cost, all those costs, or whatever is your profit left here at the top without deducting your depreciation, amortization, minus interest, minus tax. When you deduct this, you will get your net profit here. But this profit, whether business is making profit at this level, that is basically your EBITDA margin. Ideally, you should see that the margins, the percentage here should ideally be flat nahi hona chahiye, whether the company is able to push up the margins here. There are two ways the companies can push up the margins. Either अगर उनका revenue बढ़ रहा है year on year, that is a good sign, and whether your cost is under control. या अगर revenue flat है but cost को लोग control कर रहे हैं, both these will kind of lead to your EBITDA margins doing well. So whenever you look at the company, whether company is making profit at the operating level, see अगर यहाँ पे operating profit ही अगर नहीं है ना तो नीचे आप जितना माइनस करते जाओगे उतना net profit और कम होते जाएगा. So to see whether a company is really doing well, ideally their EBITDA margins actually matter a lot. So always see कि last 5 years का EBITDA margin का trend क्या है, whether it's 13%, 14%, whether the company is able to maintain their margins. अगर margins कम हुआ है तो क्या competitors ने वो margins की वजह से वो hurt हुआ है. अगर margins बढ़ रहा है तो क्यों बढ़ रहा है, margins घट रहा है तो क्यों घट रहा है, margins flat है तो क्यों flat है. कि what is the company trying to do? Are they trying to maximize their revenues or are they trying to curtail costs? Because usually in a period where the revenue is flat, usually the companies will do a lot of cost measures जहाँ पे आपका revenue almost flat growth दिखता है वहाँ पे. So you should be looking at the EBITDA margins in particular. That is one thing that you need to look at. Apart from that, the other thing that you should be seeing is just a second. Yeah, the second thing that you should be seeing is you should always be looking at your net profit margin as well. That is, हमने सबसे पहले तो यहाँ पे EBITDA margin देख लिया. अब हमें lower level पे भी देखना है कि whether company का net profit margins क्या है. Let's say if the net profit margins is around let's say 10% or 5%, whether the company is able to maintain their net profit margins, whether the net profit margins are growing every year, or whether the net profit margins are going down. If it's going down, again, why is it going down? See, ideally as a principle, you should never be investing in a loss making company. अगर मान लो loss making company है but you are seeing a turnaround, अगर वो टर्न अराउंड आपको नजर आ रहा है, मतलब लॉस मान लो 100 crores है, फिर 50 crores है, 25 crores है, then they are posting a profit of 5 crores. If you are seeing this kind of a trend, then you should be looking at why, क्या टर्न अराउंड का क्या रीजन है. बट इफ द कंपनी इज कंसिस्टेंटली पोस्टिंग लॉसेस 100 crores, 150 crores, 250 crores, 300 crores, ideally you should be refraining from investing in such companies. So your two profits really matters. One is your EBITDA margin and one is your net profit margins. Ideally a healthy EBITDA margin and net profit margins, I think these two matter a lot. अगर आपको दिख रहा है कि ये दोनों का ट्रेंड घट रहा है, कि मान लो EBITDA मार्जिन 20% था, फिर 18% हो गया, 16% हो गया, 15%, 14% हो गया, मतलब एटलीस्ट देयर इज सम प्रेशर that the company is facing here. But if you see the EBITDA margins at let's say it's at 12%, 13%, 14%, 14.5, 15%, if you see that the margins are growing, then that means that is a really very good sign. And so EBITDA margin देखना है आपको, net profit margin देखना है. And the one other thing that you should be looking in a company, it's whether, I think ये काफी common question है. So let me open up and let me show you that. Just a second. So whether should you be investing in company that has a lot of debt in their books? What would be your answer to this question, guys? If you all can let me know in the chat box. क्या आप ऐसा कंपनी में आपको इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए which has a lot of debt in their books? Debt मतलब कर्जा, especially your long term loans, not about short term loans which is used to manage working capital, but especially long term loans in particular. Obviously there are some companies, especially all your capex heavy companies, will have a lot of debt in their books. But ideally, if the company has debt in their books, what ideally should be your strategy? See, we have seen a lot of cases. I don't, whether it's Kingfisher, whether it's your Anil Ambani's group, we have seen numerous cases where Cafe Coffee Day, for that matter, now I think they are, kind of reducing their debt in the books as well. Ideally, see, yes, I mean, you can look at debt to equity. That is one ratio here. Obviously, हाँ, because वो banking and NBFC में तो देख के मतलब नहीं है, because उनका पूरा business उसके ऊपर ही है. See, ideally, as an investor, if you are a conservative investor, ideally you should be avoiding companies that have no debt in the book. So, for example, if you are an investor, सबसे पहला चीज मुझे यही करना है कि ऐसा कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट करना है जहाँ पे वो कंपनी का डेट ही नहीं है. सो इफ यू लुक एट आईटी कंपनीज, फॉर एग्जांपल TCS and Infosys, they don't have any debt in their books. It's technically a debt free company. Even Polycab, for that matter, if I remember, they don't have any debt in their books here. So that's a very safe way to it. They don't operate on loans. They have enough money. पूरा equity capital से ही उनका यहाँ पे चलता है. So I'm not saying having a debt is bad. Secondly, अगर कंपनी के पास डेट है, हो सकता है कोई केसेस में, अगर डेट है तो साथ साथ रेवेन्यू भी देखना कंपनी का, कि रेवेन्यू ग्रो हो रहा है कि नहीं हर साल. मान लो डेट है 500 करोड़ बुक्स में और रेवेन्यू कंपनी का है 10 करोड़, 50 करोड़, 70 करोड़. डेट लेके रखा है 500 करोड़ and the debt is growing every year, 500, 550, 600, but the revenues are not growing at the same pace. Let's say debt is growing at 20%, 15% every year, whereas your revenue is growing at 7%, 5% every year. So if the company has debt in the books, see whether that debt is supported by good revenue growth as well. I'm not talking about profit growth. At least good revenues hona chahiye, and at least also look at what are the reserves and surplus of that company. Usually शेयर होल्डर फंड्स में आपको इक्विटी शेयर कैपिटल के साथ साथ आपको रिजर्व्स एंड सरप्लस भी दिखता है, कि वेदर कंपनी हैज इनफ रिजर्व्स एंड सरप्लस इन देयर बुक्स. आइडियली रिजर्व्स एंड सरप्लस डेट रीपेमेंट के लिए यूज नहीं करना चाहिए. द रिजर्व्स एंड सरप्लस आर यूज्ड टू फॉर कंपनीज एक्सपेंशन. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि कंपनी का रेवेन्यू नहीं है, डेट पाइल अप हो रहा है, एंड रिजर्व्स एंड सरप्लस व्हिच इज योर इक्विटी फंड्स आर यूज्ड टू पे ऑफ द डेट्स हियर. दैट शुड नॉट आइडियली बी योर केस. सो one, as an investor, if you are conservative, you can avoid companies that has debt, but you can't avoid all the companies that has debt here. But अगर debt है, it's good. कोई companies को debt लेना ही पड़ता है. All your infra companies, manufacturing companies, they will obviously have debt in their books. बट ये देखना कि डेट हद से ज्यादा नहीं है, कि डेट अगर ले रहे हो तो साथ साथ रेवेन्यू भी ग्रो हो रहा है कि नहीं. दैट इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. Is that part clear? So whenever you're doing this analysis, always look at debt and revenue correlation as well, and also see what is the reserves and surplus of that company. Because अगर आपका revenue ही grow नहीं हो रहा है, revenue growth flat है, and उसके बीच में वो लोग सिर्फ pile on कर रहे हैं आपका debts, but revenue grow नहीं हो रहा है, that is not translating into profits, that is not translating into cash flows, then chances are that that companies can probably remain under pressure here. And ideally क्या होगा, at a point where the revenues are not growing, companies are loss making company, they are piling on debts, at one point it will probably end up being the next Kingfisher, or it will probably be a next stock that will probably go up in flames here. So this is a small analysis. I don't want to get into detail. We'll go more into details as and when we do. So आप जब भी एक analysis करोगे, always keep this in mind कि इज द कंपनी अननेसेसरी पाइलिंग ऑन डेट. अगर डेट ले रहा है तो सामने रेवेन्यू भी आ रहा है कि नहीं, क्यों डेट का पैसा कहीं ना कहीं तो बिजनेस में यूज करेंगे, वो बिजनेस में यूज करके is that trade translating into revenues, whether that revenues are resulting into profits, whether वो profits से cash flows आ रहा है कि नहीं. That is how you pick good companies, and that is how you kind of do your analysis here. Is that exactly the profit should be used for capex, but कोई अभी debt ये करने के बाद कभी-कभी क्या होता है, reserves money are used to pay off their debt as well. वो नहीं होना चाहिए, because the reserves ultimately belong to equity shareholders. That debt should be used wisely. Whether are they, see अगर wisely use किया तो that ultimately will reflect in their earnings also. वो होना चाहिए, वो trend दिखना चाहिए. Clear. If debt is less and the provisions are high, what should we do in such a company? Then we should be finding out the reasons as to why the provisions are high. Is it a regulatory reason के वजह से provision high है? And then probably then reading the company's call con will probably हमें ज्यादा उसमें देगा कि अगर वो कंपनी अगर डेट कम है, प्रोविजन ज्यादा दे रहा है, तो whether the similar company in that same group is also following the same thing, or this company is taking an extra conservative approach to have a high provision later and later reverse that provisions. So all those things will probably matter, or whether industry standard क्या है provisioning का, कि whether the company is also following the same industry standard. So that is something that we need to see here. We'll do more on that. I think मेरे को ज़्यादा भी load नहीं देना है अभी. So there are a lot of things that we can do. Towards the end, we'll do a whole fundamental analysis based on ratio as well, so that at least you will also get a good idea of picking some good fundamentally sound stocks. Banks again, a lot of the provisioning that the banks do is based on the regulatory this thing. So I think banks again will have to see, you have to see whether the provisioning is based on industry standard, or whether they are doing more than what the regulator asks them to do, or if they are doing less, why less? If they are doing more, why more? I think that a lot of that information will be available in the company's con call. Okay, now I think let us take some few questions before we wrap up. Lenge Sudhakar ji, we'll have a detailed session on fundamentals as well. We'll do that. So first I will teach you all the concepts, little concepts, and then we will do fundamental analysis towards the end. We'll have one webinar regarding the same. Gopal Snacks नहीं, फिलहाल के लिए अवॉइड करना. आई थिंक ये एक रेंज में, सो जब तक ये 310 के नीचे है तब तक ओवरऑल ट्रेंड बेरिश है. वेट फॉर अ ब्रेकआउट अबाउट 310. Voltas is good, Sumit ji, you can add on to Voltas. Voltas is good. I think you can trail to somewhere around 1455, 1460. Nifty outlook I already discussed, Pramod ji. Like I said, till it's below 25,870, avoid. I think any move about 25,870, it could lead to a pullback up to 25,900. On the downside, 25,800 to act as a strong support. Yeah, APL Apollo is also good. Chapaji can continue to hold. Trail your SL to somewhere maybe around 2,200. G Shipping. Yeah, breakout. Fresh high, I think you can consider holding. I think 1285, 1290 is where you can keep your SL. Kirlo's Brothers. Kirlo's Brothers avoid karna Manoj ji. I think we need a breakout above 1695, 1700. I think above that it looks positive. Seagull is good. I think we had discussed that some sessions back. I think 290 is where you can keep an SL for Seagull. Hotel industry, EIH. नहीं फिलहाल के लिए avoid. I think needs to move above 370 for EIH to go up. NTPC is also good. You can consider holding NTPC. Maybe around 360 is where you can consider support for NTPC. BPSL is also good. Like I said, oil and gas stocks are doing well. I think BPCL also you can hold with around 375, 376 as an SL. VDL is also good. I think VDL, maybe you can consider having around 630, 635 as an SL for VDL. Krishnaji, on what parameters? I'm yet to see the details, Krishnaji. I'll have to look at the details for PFC and REC. I just heard a news that both are going to merge. On what parameters, we'll have to, read on that. Cochin Shipyard. नहीं आई थिंक कोचिन शिप सी डिफेंस में अभी भी थोड़ा सा एक वीकनेस है आई थिंक डिफेंस में बारिंग एमटार टेक एंड डेटा पैटर्न्स आई थिंक नन ऑफ द अदर डिफेंस स्टॉक्स आर लुकिंग गुड करंटली एमजीएल भी अवॉइड करना आई थिंक एमजीएल भी भले ही पुल बैक आया है बट एक राउंडिंग बॉटम बना है बट लेट्स वेट फॉर सम फ्यू मोर रिवर्सल साइंस आई मीन टू अर्ली टू से दिस इज अ ट्रेंड रिवर्सल बट आई थिंक अगर एमजीएल ये अगर ये डाउनवर्ड स्लोपिंग है I think if it is able to hold above 1125, then it's good. I think if it drops below 1125, then I think chances are that it can fall back again. Company grabs to SBI Group for very good results and future credit. Yeah, actually, I think SBI has indeed come up with some really fantastic numbers. And that has kind of had a rub-off effect on the PSU banks today as well. Though I can't give you a recommendation, I think due to compliance, but because now if you look at Power India is also good. I think you can hold with 25 800 25 850 you can consider that as a support and continue to hold. TMPV बीच में था momentum. TMPV थोड़ा सा वेट करना आई थिंक 380 to 385 के ऊपर probably I think अगर ये ब्रेकआउट मिलता है then I think TMPV can move towards 410 415. Kirloskar Oil Engines थोड़ा सा कंसोलिडेशन फेस में है मे बी वेट फॉर अ ब्रेकआउट अबाउ लेट्स से 1230 1235 इंडिविजुअल प्रमोटर मतलब आपका ओनर ऑफ दैट कंपनी उसको हम प्रमोटर बोलते हैं जो कंपनी का जो ओनर का पैसा लगा होता है जो कंपनी का जो ओनर का रिस्क लगा होता है जो ओनर का रिसोर्स लगा होता है ओनर मतलब ओनर ऑफ दैट कंपनी दैट इज बेसिकली योर प्रमोटर जो कंपनी बनाने का जो आइडिया रहता है वो प्रमोटर का होता है सो प्रमोटर इज प्रॉब्ली द मेन इंडिविजुअल हाँ जो इंडिविजुअल होता है वो होता है सो इंडिविजुअल हो सकता है प्रमोटर्स कैन ऑल्सो बी एन एंटिटी एज वेल मतलब लेट्स से अगर आपका कंपनी आदित्य जी मतलब आपने कंपनी शुरू किया आप एक इंडिविजुअल हो तो यू आर दैट ओनर ऑफ दैट कंपनी सो यू आर एन इंडिविजुअल प्रमोटर ऑफ दैट कंपनी SCI avoid karna because I know it is up around nearly 16% today, but it's very, I mean, not a good. आपका risk to reward अच्छा नहीं बैठेगा to enter at these levels. Kalyan Jewellers good result. I think that is also up, but I think they are suspecting some price manipulation and they have written to SEBI to kind of suspend their FNO trading. Because they've been suspecting some price manipulation happening on their futures front. I think so. Avoid Kalyan Jewellers for now because there is some ambiguity in this particular counter currently. HDFC Bank, avoid. I think HDFC till the time it is below 940, the overall range is likely to be negative. Sona Comms is good. Sona BLW. You can kind of hold with around 515 as an SL. Usha Martin. Yeah, Usha Martin, it needs to hold above its 200-day EMA, which is around 408, 410. अगर ये जब तक ये 408, 410 के ऊपर है, I think overall it's likely to be positive. Yeah, Titan is also good. Titan has in fact given a range breakout also. So as long as Titan stays above 4,160, chances are that it can go up. So Adani Group has high debts, but can we go ahead with this company? But you should also look at their revenue growth as well, Sudhakar ji. If the debt is growing at a certain figure, see whether at least revenue is growing more than their debt growth. So revenue growth should be more than the debt growth. In that case, provided this is just one factor, but there are also other factors in play. But just look at that debt and revenue growth comparison. Probably you will, have a idea on that. I'll just take one last query, guys. Apollo Microsystem. नहीं फिलहाल के लिए अवॉइड करना. आई थिंक वेट टिल वी गेट अ ब्रेकआउट अबाउट दिस लेवल 265 270 के ऊपर ब्रेकआउट करना तब तक. If you're already holding, then you can consider around 230 as an SL. 230 में आप आपका SL ट्रेल कर सकते हो आदित्य जी. ठीक है, I guess that's all from today's mid-market session. I hope it was informative. And it's a humble request to do share this link with your friends, families, and relatives, guys. In case, only if you find these sessions valuable. No force at my end. Okay, bye, guys. Take care. And that's a wrap of today's session. And I'll see you tomorrow at 12:30 for our new mid-market session. Until then, bye, guys. Take care and stay safe. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.